Welcome to your new home for football, where you'll get real international coverage from real football fans. We're talking Brighton, England, Birmingham, England, London, England, Glasgow, Scotland, Dublin, Ireland, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and St. Louis, Missouri. You'll get coverage from all the big time leagues. Join in on live day match watch-alongs. Enjoy live football debates. Nothing but all things football. Catch us live 8 PM UK time on Thursdays on all major platforms, or listen to us the next day on the Sports Social Podcast Network. This is Football Nation, your home for all things football.
Hey guys, this is Football Nation, your home for all things football. Very excited tonight. We've got Paul on as my co-host today. How are you, Paul?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you check out Paul's video today. It's already the most successful video on the channel ever. We've gained 24 subs today.
You're going to give me a big ad.
So, make sure you check that out. And we are back with a old friend of the old podcast in Bala Safar, famous comedian. And welcome in, mate. How have you been?
Hey, yeah, good. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah. So, it's a lot of change since you've been here last time. So, welcome back. And did you want to start off with what you've been up to in your life since I spoke to you last?
Sure, yeah. Since I spoke to you last, I think. Oh, yeah, I remember because we talked about Hastings, didn't we? Because I went to Hastings, I saw a badger. I was really excited. I was so excited. Like, I didn't know what it was, and then it turned around and looked at me, and I was like, "Oh my god, couldn't believe it." So I would have been. I was doing a preview of my Edinburgh show. So I went and did Edinburgh. That went nicely, and now I'm doing a little tour of that show around the UK and one day in Dublin. And that starts tomorrow in Leicester. And I'm also working on a brand new show for the next Edinburgh, it's too much, to be honest. I think this was a mistake. So I'm very, very busy, and I'm still streaming and stuff, still doing the thing with PES United that I do. Starting a new a video podcast thing that will be out soon as well. So I'm trying to cover everything, and hopefully one of the things takes off, so I can stop being poor.
Nice. Won any more awards?
No, unfortunately, in that time. It's bad. Hopefully next time I'll have some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll ask you next time, Joanna. I'm sure you would have.
Yeah. Sure.
And yes, so today we are talking about the title races. We are Football Nation, so we cover all your leagues. So we're going to go over the top 5 leagues today and speak about the title races. There's some really interesting title races this season, with some of the big teams really, really struggling. And first thing we are going to do is go to the one sec. What's that? Technical issue.
Nothing's ever smooth, mate. Don't worry.
So first thing we're going to do is look at the La Liga. So, Paul, did you want to get started off on the La Liga title race?
Yeah, I mean, Barcelona have kind of come out of nowhere, because really they're a team that all you hear about them lately is that they've got no end of money issues. They're past their best. They're overrated. And yet this season they've lost 1 game. They've only conceded 7 goals. I mean, that's mental. 22 games, 7 goals. And it's quite a young team as well. There's a lot of very good, talented players, but they're currently, 8 points clear of Real Madrid? Yeah. My issue with Barcelona, we touched on it before we went live, is I hate them. I can't give them any credit whatsoever. I used to really like Barcelona, but the way they go about their transfer business for me is disgusting. Yeah. That aside, the season they're having is phenomenal. Even it's said through gritted teeth.
Even
But
Xavi
not
to turn it around, like there was rumours at the start of the season that it wasn't going very well. They might make a change already, and to him to turn it around, he's done really well.
Yeah, I mean, Lewandowski's helped them as he's top scorer with 15 goals. You get a player like that, and it's going to fight to some element of success. But I think defensively is where they've been most impressive. You know, as I said, if you can. You don't need a world-class striker if you don't concede, because you will get goals from other places. That is Barcelona's biggest problem. Has been since Pep left. Is probably defensively they've been very leaky. So the fact he's solved that is ridiculous. I mean, Real Madrid have conceded 10 more goals over the season.
Yeah.
That's where you kind of expect Barcelona to be. I can't get my head around only conceding 7. It's got to be rigged, I think.
It's not
smaller goals or something.
Fair, is it? It's not fair.
I reckon they've got 5-a-side goals at the new camp, and that's what it is.
Yeah, it's not fair that they get all the dodgy money stuff, and didn't they like sell the rights to everything as well?
Yeah, so
which is weird.
When they signed, I think they signed 6 players in the summer.
Yeah,
just gone, and to make sure that they could get them, they sold off everything short of the kitchen sink to make sure that they could essentially sign them. And it's players like Koundé, and then come January, they were like, "Oh yeah, he's awful. We're going to get rid of him."
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and they got them all on freeze predominantly as well, which was just ridiculous. So they're obviously not paying transfer wages, but they'll be paying transfer fees, but the wages will be sky high.
I think Koundé's had a bit of a turnaround. Really, he's been playing right back now, isn't he? And not centre back for him. And obviously, the second leg against United is currently live. We'll keep you updated on that. But he played quite well in that game against us. I think we were. I think we deserved the win just about. But it was a good game, 2-2. Rashford getting on the score sheet again. A few dodgy decisions from the ref on both sides, but I was really impressed of Barcelona against us compared to when we played them a few seasons back. It was a big difference. And what did you think?
What happened a few seasons back?
They knocked us out, but they didn't play as well as they played.
What was the score? I can't really remember it.
I can't remember the score, but they did knock
tight?
us out. Yeah, it was in the Champions League.
Right.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on the La Liga title race?
It looks like it's going to be Barca, right? It's weird, isn't it? Like, you know, the whole thing with how you played really well against Barca, obviously. They didn't look great, and then everyone had this sort of narrative of like, well, La Liga's crap anyway. And then when Liverpool went 2-0 up against Madrid, it was that same thing of like, oh, well, these lot, it's a crap league. Yeah. And then the way they turned it around, it just feels really random, doesn't it? Like, yeah, it's weird how much stuff changes in football. Like, we're so used to Barca being that powerhouse of like, with that Iniesta and everyone. And now, like, you'd think because they're dominating the league, they'd be just as strong in Europe. I mean, they're not even in the Champions League. But yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I don't know. I guess we'll see after this. I think if they go through tonight, they're probably going to win it.
Yeah, I think the winner, whoever wins tonight is the favourite to win the competition. I'd say quite comfortably. Arsenal's in it as well. Yeah. I think they've got other things to worry about being in the title race. So I think they'll make them.
Yeah, that's the issue.
It's funny. I listened to a podcast earlier on that said exactly what you've just said about La Liga not being viewed as a strong league. Mm-hmm. They're like, I don't give Man United credit because if they win because Barcelona are rubbish in the league, or I don't rate it. Yeah. And the host of the podcast went, well, Real Madrid just beat Liverpool 5-2, and you've just said that you rate Liverpool. So where does that not mean your point's null and void? The league is not a bad league. If you look at that, Real Sociedad and Betis are up there. Mm-hmm. It shows that actually as a league it's becoming stronger. Barcelona, I think, are just having a freak season.
Yeah.
Does happen now and again, doesn't it? And more often than not is Barcelona that tend to pull out these freaks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That person that said that probably just doesn't like Man United very much, I think, because it's just that it's that thing in it.
Common theme.
Whenever like a team you don't like does well, you always add a bit of a caveat, like, well,
It's a common theme that people don't like United, though. Jono doesn't even like United, really.
I do. Atletico though they're looking a bit stale. Obviously, it's already basically confirmed that Simeone is leaving at the end of the season. I think just when you've been at a club so long, and he has been there since like 2013, and it's a long time. The average stay of a manager is like 3 years, if that. So to be there since 2013, 10 years at the same club, it's just not seen in the modern game, which is sad. But you can just see they're getting bored of his football and they need a change. Yeah. So obviously it's been confirmed he's leaving at the end of the season. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. I think he could go to Inter, which we'll go into later.
That's interesting.
Because he used to play for him. But I'd like to see that. But yeah, what do you think of Atletico Madrid's season, guys?
I think you've got to, I mean, for me, they still rely on the same players they did five or 6 years ago. Griezmann, Koke, Oblak. They're still, they're the spine of their team, and they've been the side. You can't have the same spine of a team for 5 or 6 years without freshening it up. And the rest of the squad isn't great. The fullbacks are, I think it's Molina and Mandeva played their last game. They're not brilliant. Carrasco is massively overrated for me. Everybody thinks he's this world-class player. I think he's a good player, but he goes missing in games.
Yeah.
And when you've got the likes of, the lad who's gone to Chelsea on loan, and I've just forgotten his name.
Joe Felix.
Felix. When you're shipping him out on loan, he's one of the most creative players probably in the league. Something's wrong.
Yeah, I think that's to do with. I think if there was another manager, I wouldn't be surprised if the old Spanish manager who used to be at Barca, Enrique, if he went to Atletico, because he fits that Spanish style of football. So I wouldn't be surprised if they made that appointment. And if they did want to keep Felix, I think he'd suit that more style. But Simeone, where he's so defensive, his style just does not suit to accommodate for a Joel Felix, and I think that's the issue.
Do you think do you not think Chelsea will just go, we're going to splash another 100 million on a player, and why not?
No, because they're going to have to. They're going to be. I think if they don't get Champions League, which we'll go on to in a bit, but if they don't get Champions League, you've got to think that in the summer they'd have to calm down on their spending because financial fair play if they don't get Champions.
No one expected this. You don't know what
Bowley's not going to calm down.
Yeah,
but to spend 600 million in 6 months and be 10th, but we'll speak about that later.
Simeone would be perfect for them, wouldn't he? That would be perfect. It'd be like when they got Mourinho for the first time with this new owner as well.
I don't think he would now. I don't think he would.
He seems to have been linked for that job for ever.
I think the problem is now Chelsea have spent so much on flair attacking players. If you go and stick Simeone in that team,
I think he's the manager you get at Chelsea after a Conte or a Jose.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise you though, would it? Because they seem to have no plan.
Oh no,
it seems completely random.
Yeah.
They are. I like Chelsea just for that reason.
Yeah. Going on to Real Madrid before we move on, what do you think they? Do you think their teams get? Obviously, they've signed a few young players, but the core of their team is the same for a while. Do you think it's similar to Atletico Madrid that their team's just getting a bit stale and they might need some fresh legs in there?
Do you know what? You say that, but Modric outran the Liverpool midfield the other night.
Yeah.
There were points where he was bursting through like a 21-year-old. And it
was that. Was it the 5th goal or the 4th goal? When
I think it was the 5th one. He was just different. He rolled back the years on Tuesday.
Isn't he? Yeah, that was an impressive performance, I must admit. Even Liverpool have been shocking.
Yeah, that's the thing with a player like Modric when he's so good. But how old is he? Is he
36?
36.
Yeah.
So when do you decide when to replace him? This must be really hard. Because he doesn't seem like he's getting worse.
He
really.
reminds me very much of Pirlo.
You wonder if they will replace him though, because obviously no one expected Casemiro to leave last summer till they got Tchouaméni in, and Tchouaméni. It's not like Casemiro has stepped off at all. He's come to the Premier League. He's arguably the best DM in the league, and he's been solid for us. But
He's no Matty Langstaff or John Joe Shelving. They were better than him for me.
Do you think they'll replace him with like a Bellingham this summer? Or was the links of the obvious links are him and Liverpool and City and Liverpool and Man City are favourites for Bellingham? Do you think they'll do that to make a green young midfield of Bellingham, Tchouaméni, and Camavinga?
I wouldn't be going there if I was Bellingham. If I was a young midfielder, you just couldn't pay me enough money to go and replace Cruz or Modric. Two absolutely adored players, and you're gonna get compared to them no end. It's just you're gonna get you can see it ending up how the fans reacted to Bale.
Yeah, Cruz has come out this week saying he either wants a 1-year extension or he's retiring this summer. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. So that would be interesting. He's won it all.
If they win the Champions League, Real Madrid, I could see them signing him, trying to make a big statement signing. You know.
Because I don't really want. Obviously, I'm saying not wouldn't have him, but I just don't think he suits our team. Obviously, with the obvious links with us with Qatar now, the links of they're not friends with the PSG owners. They don't know him at all. It's separate, but those links to Mbappe is just clearly going to be there now. He's not what we need. I obviously take him, but he's not really what we need. But I think that loses their chance of potentially getting Mbappe, who they've clearly wanted for a long time now. So I think
if you were Mbappe, would you leave a club where you've been told you can make the decisions, though? Which is what's happened at PSG, isn't it?
It's mad, isn't it?
It depends though, because we'll go into League in a minute, and I've got quite some topics on that I want to speak about on the Qatars and what's going on. But they've basically said that don't find League competitive, and they've made it quite clear that it's a boring league. So if they're investing into United, I think they're just going to give up on QPR.
Do they know that water's wet and the sky's blue?
I think they're just going to give up on PSG. If I'm honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to ship it on.
You've taken over a club. You've invested billions in players, which no one else can do, and it's now not competitive. I'm shocked.
You'd think Mbappe would want to be in a more competitive league.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
If he wants to be the best player ever, you can't just stay in France. You know, surely.
No, I think his future is over in that league.
Real Madrid, right? That makes the most sense. I think that.
Yeah, I think that's a long-term goal.
Probably the only team that can pay him what he wants to be paid.
I don't know if he'll have a stop in the Premier League before that, but I think his long-term goal is he'll turn up around Madrid.
I don't think any Premier League team could afford his wages. Because the teams that could are City, Chelsea, possibly United, and they've already got massive wage budgets as it is.
Yeah.
Because he's on, I think he's on 600,000 a week at PSG or something like that.
Yeah. It will be interesting. We'll now move on from La Liga. If anyone has anything add on the La Liga title race, we think there's going to be any shocks. I think Real Madrid can catch up.
I think Real Madrid will win the league.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think Barcelona will bottle it at some point, and I will laugh and dance and sing when it happens.
It's a lot of points, though.
It is. I'm probably very wrong. I won't lie.
We have an update. I will update the score. It's 1-0 Barca penalty. Lewandowski has scored. So
United can't do anything right.
That's why I went ooh about a couple of minutes ago. Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be an interesting game tonight. I think it could go either way, but it's 1-0 Barca.
Probably extra time. I think it will be extra time.
Two teams on form, so it's going to be an interesting one. We will now move on to Serie A. So, the Serie A, look, Napoli, just Napoli. They are flying. I think, arguably, you could say they're the best team in Europe at the moment.
Oh yeah.
They're smashing it in the Champions League. They're smashing it in the Serie A. Top goal scorers in the world. I can't say anymore. Look, 62 points to 47 to Inter.
That's great.
What do you think, guys? Like, it's mental.
Before we go any further, can you pronounce the guy who has the most assists in Serie A? Can you pronounce his name?
I can't remember.
No, the guy I'm on about.
I'm not sure what you're talking
I'm
about.
gonna look him up.
Kravica Kravat. I'll put it in the chat on here.
Oh God.
Anyone,
Oh
if you can
my
pronounce
God.
his name, I'll bow down to you because
Farach. That's really, really hard. Is there a thing? Is there a Google thing that will read it to
can
me?
we speak his name, please?
Yeah, but Napoli.
But yeah, going back to Serie A, I love Italian football because
Yeah,
I
I
grew
do.
up when it used to be shown on the TV on a Sunday afternoon. Galazzo, I think it used to be
Yeah.
called, and it was amazing. So I grew up with like Milan when they were kind of in their pomp.
Yeah.
But I've got
think-
a soft spot for Napoli.
I think the
Just
last few seasons it's got a lot more competitive as well. Obviously, Napoli are running away with it this season, but obviously you've had a decade of domination by Juventus. Obviously, they've now had their points deduction this season. We'll go into in a minute, but you've had domination for a decade of Juventus, and now in the last 3 seasons you had Inter Milan win their first title in years. Then you had AC Milan win the title last year, which was amazing. They've deserved that for so long. They've dropped off a lot this season. Same with Inter, and now Napoli are absolutely flying.
The thing is that point deduction has made zero difference because they'd only be the same points as Inter.
Yeah,
Juventus still wouldn't be anywhere near Napoli.
they would be in the race for the Champions League though, which I don't think they are anymore.
They're 12 points behind Milan, but Milan have lost 3 on the bounce,
Yeah,
so possibly
I think it's too much. I'm not sure what you guys think, but
it'd be impressive if they do it.
Do you think that was a big enough punishment? Obviously, there's talk in the Premier League about City getting a punishment soon for different similar issues and breaking financial fair play rules, and there's talk of expulsion or points deductions, titles being ripped off of them, which I'm sure Bala Safar would very much appreciate if they got a points deduction.
Yeah, I don't think nothing's going to happen for at least 2 years, though, right?
Yeah. So, do you think it was fair punishment for what they did? Obviously, last time they had a points deduction and got relegated a few 4 or 5 years and years back, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the first time they've done something dodgy. And obviously, Italian football's always had something about it. There's always been a bit of controversy around the league.
Yeah.
So what do you think, guys, on their points deduction? Do you think it was fair?
Yeah, because I think the irregularities arise from the issues stemming from COVID, whereas cities are decades. It's a decade-long thing, isn't it? So I think it's a just punishment for the period of time that it's covering. I suppose it's not. It hasn't been going on since 2012. It's a small. Yeah. I'm more disappointed that Nedved was involved because he's a legend, and I don't see why these former players do things that they know are going to tarnish their legacies. He's now going to be he's always going to have that stigma of, well, you're dodgy.
Yeah,
it's a shame, but the punishment's right. No need to relegate them. Just give them a slap on the wrist on this occasion.
How many points? Was it like 15 points?
15 points, yeah.
And is that it? That was it?
Yeah,
no transfer ban or anything?
I believe it's just 15 points. There is longer, far consequences, I think, because obviously the whole board has gone. They were all forced to leave.
No, I think they resigned before it
Yeah.
even got that far, didn't they? They jumped well before they were pushed.
Yeah, they are being investigated
And handed out subsequently.
because their guy who's running who joined because of Conte, because he used to work with him at Juventus. He was obviously at Juventus when all this kicked off, and so he's been banned from Italian football. And the Italian authorities are trying to make it a world ban, meaning he'd have to leave his ban from the Premier League and Spurs as well. So he's being investigated, and because of that, they're also looking into the deals for Bentancur from Juventus and what's the other chap at Juventus from Spurs?
Perisic.
Yeah, Kulusevski. So they're both looking at the deals. Those deals are both being investigated by the FA because those linked with Juventus, and it was basically loan to buys, and I think that was part of why Juventus were being investigated as well. And same with Chelsea and the Zakaria deal. So I think it has long effects on a lot of clubs that are being investigated because of this one situation. Apparently AC Milan as well. So I've heard a lot of rumours that there could be more clubs to come. I don't think this is the end.
Wow. I think part of the reason the punishment was only 15 points as well is the prosecutor only went for 9.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was the original request, is to deduct 9 points, and the judge overruled it and went for 15. I think if he'd probably gone higher, it probably would have been more severe.
It should just be relegation, shouldn't it? Because that's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
You know, if
we do a full Rangers and stick them right at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, if we had to watch Juve build themselves up again, that's quite exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be one hell of an FM save.
Point, and like you say, it wasn't a great season for him anyway. So it's not really.
It wasn't going right. Let's just put you down there. You know, right at the bottom.
Is it? If they started next season on minus 15 points,
I think that's what should happen for me.
Yeah.
Because deducting 15 points probably costs them 300 grand on prize money this year, depending on where they finish. Mm-hmm. Next year, if you start bottom with minus 15, it's a bigger issue.
Changes everything, doesn't it? Because then players would want to leave probably if they got no chance of winning.
You're under pressure from the start, aren't you? If you have 2 bad games to start your season, that's problems. You're then suddenly 20 points behind the team above you.
It's exciting, but they did the most boring thing.
They did the most un-Italian thing as well.
Yeah.
I have got 2 updates as well. Ajax are 1-0 down against Union Berlin, and Sporting Braga are 1-0 up against Fiorentina. Yes. And do we think the title's decided? Obviously, Napoli are definitely winning the Serie A, which is good for them. First title in donkey's years, which is really good for them. Do we think that top 4 Europa League spots are going to change? Do we think Juventus are going to sneak back into there, or do we think not?
Surely their main focus is going to be the Europa League, trying to win the Europa League, getting into the Champions League, right?
Yeah,
that should be where most of their effort goes. So I think they'd probably fall short. They'll probably, I think they'd end up resting players.
Yeah. For
league games, prioritizing the cup.
I think if they don't, I think just generally, I think they might lose a few players in the summer. Or their striker, I think he'll definitely leave. The guy you wanted a few years back.
Moise Cam?
No.
Their striker.
What's his name? The big guy. Oh, I'm looking at the lineup. It is. Was he not playing? Vlahovic.
Verovic, yeah. I think a lot of teams in the Premier League need a striker. I could really see him coming to the Prem.
I think Chelsea will probably sign him.
I think the obvious strikers I think could get a move. I think there's 3 strikers that might get a move this summer for clubs that need strikers. I mean, that's Harry Kane. I think Harry Kane will leave Spurs this summer. I think it's Osimhen from Napoli, and him from Juventus. I think they're the three strikers that will be the big strikers moving in the next window. And I can't see Juventus keeping a hold of him. I've seen a lot of rumours of Premier League moves for him. So that will be a big miss for them because I think he has carried them this season in a bad season.
Good,
so, I'd definitely take him as an alternative to Osimhen. Osimhen's my first choice of who I'd go for, but I'd definitely take him if we couldn't get Osimhen.
Would you take Kane?
I would. Yeah, I
okay.
would definitely take Kane, but I think you would be paying. You get a longer jeopardy with Osimhen and the other guy compared to what you'd pay for Kane because he's English.
Yeah, but he might bring you trophies.
Yeah,
next season, right?
So definitely. And do we have anything else to add on the league, guys?
No.
I'm just looking at the the stats and stuff. I'm still amazed.
You're still trying
Milinkovic
to read the
Savic
guy's
plays
name?
for Lazio. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what his name is.
Yeah, it's
Kravica Kravataskelia. That sounds about right.
I
Don't know.
think it's yeah.
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Milinkovic Savic is amazing that he still plays for Lazio. He's so highly rated, and he's always been linked with a move to like United, and it's just never happened.
He was rumoured as the Paul Pogba replacement since we signed Paul Pogba. From the day we signed Paul Pogba, he was
There's another Juventus incident.
Yeah.
Pogba went back there and has refused to play because he's injured, despite their medical team saying he's fit. And then said, well, if you're injured, go and get an operation. He said no.
Yeah, I keep seeing United fans on Twitter saying #Pogba back. I said, not again, please. No, we're playing well. He's the last player we need. His attitude is the last player this team needs.
Pogba could possibly have been the most overrated player in football at one point. I remember when United played Liverpool a couple of years ago, and he came off the bench, and I was with my United mate, and he's like, "Oh, it's going to change now." Pogba came on, and he got sent off like straight away. I'm like,
he was
changed, all right.
He was either world class or just wasn't on the pitch.
Yeah.
No middle game. It was either world class or just wasn't on the pitch.
So many of these big money signings just don't work out.
It's ridiculous.
League, right? If you look at the list of players, it's only like Van Dijk, which is who's done well, and then it's just a load of players that have flopped.
Yeah. So
most of them have gone to United as well, which is quite fun.
I'm glad that apparently if we get to Qatar, that's changing. They're not going for the big names, hopefully. So that will be. Hopefully, they want to build from the youth. So next we have the Bundesliga. What an exciting league this season is! The domination of Bayern doesn't seem to have turned up this season. 7 draws for Bayern. That's mad. 2 losses. Dortmund on level points now with Bayern, and Union Berlin flying on 43 points as well. Freiburg only below them on 40. So very, very interesting league.
That's great.
Leipzig have fallen off a bit. They were roughly about there, but I think they've had a bit of a dip recently. So, yeah, wow. Do we think Bayern will finally lose this league title? I really hope Union Berlin, Freiburg can shock us, or even Dortmund again. But I think they don't have enough to hold off the whole season. But wow,
I think Bayern are they remind me of the bully in school who takes the snacks off all the other kids. And like that kid's mum goes out and buys him the best snacks, and the bully in school goes, "Well, I'm having that." That's what they do to other teams. So even if they don't win the league this year, they'll go Dortmund and go, right, well, we're going to sign Adeyemi. We'll take him. Then they'll go Union Berlin, sign their best player. It's such a... Yeah, I don't... They're like Barcelona. I hate Bayern Munich. I can't stand them. I'd love to see him lose the league. I'd love to see him finish 4th.
Yeah, I don't want him to win the league. I think as a club, I think the way they run if you compare them to Euro, I think that you've got to say they're run one of the best clubs in the world. Like the way they've been run for so long.
Yeah, they're not stupid, are they? They know what they're doing. That they've got a very good squad of players, and that as soon as a good player pops up in another team in the league, they know they can go and sign him. And if the club refuses to sell him, the player will have a kick-off and he'll go. Goetze did it when he was at Dortmund. Lewandowski, all these players do it. Hummels did it and then went back to Dortmund.
Yeah.
But I did watch their game, or I watched the highlights of their game on Saturday, and they lost to Mönchengladbach. And to be fair, Upamecano, the red card he got was absolutely shocking. He's the player's running through from a long ball. He's tapped him on the shoulder. The striker then took another 2 steps and fell over, and the referee sent him off. And VAR didn't overturn it. And the commentator was saying, "Well, the touch on the shoulder." It's like, no, and it just changed the game because they play 3 at the back. So as soon as you send off your middle centre back, you're in trouble. It was a pointless.
I mean, you'd hope with them dropping so many points that's gonna continue a bit. That they've got a bit of maybe. I know that the last game, I guess, was unlucky, but like they must have a bit of mental fragility this time.
They're not as. I look at their lineup and it's really they've not got that top tier player for me in there. Jan Sommer in goal because Neuer broke his leg skiing after the World Cup.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
You've got Gnabry, Alphonso Davies, Goretzka. They're all good, very good players, but not top tier.
They need that. They never replaced Lewandowski.
Exactly.
I think
Thomas Muller plays up front from now, doesn't he? And Choupo-Moting.
Yeah, I think they need a world. I think I'd love to see Harry Kane at Bayern.
God.
He's been linked to them, hasn't he?
Yeah, he was linked there last summer, but just never materialised. I think that would be. He obviously loves Spurs, so he wouldn't be betraying Spurs because he'd be going to win something in a different league. He'd finally get a trophy, and I think it's what they need. It's that world-class striker. I think that deal makes a lot of sense if they can get it done, even if they get less money than they might get from a United. They're not strengthening a United in the title race. They're not a top 4 race or title race, and they're sorting out an obvious issue that I think the player needs to leave now. So I think it's.
Or Vlahovic could score a lot of goals there. He's a lot younger, isn't he?
Yeah.
But it's going to be really interesting if Harry Kane does go. It's going to be interesting to see who Tottenham sign. Because you just don't know who they can attract. Whenever they sort of spend big, they seem to do it wrong. With players like Ndombele and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm spending buying right back after right back after right back.
Yeah.
So, I think, as I say, I think Bayern need a striker. I think that's their issue. I think I'm going to go Dortmund win the league.
Yeah.
I'm putting my neck out on the line. I'm going to say Dortmund win the league.
I mean, they've won the last 5. They're in good form.
So, I think they're playing so good football. Bayern are dropping off. It might push the price up a bit for Bellingham. And maybe if they can go on a run, win the league, maybe it'll stay a season. Maybe they can persuade Bellingham to stay a season if they can put a real fight for the title the next half of the season. Get him signed a new contract and then maybe stay one more season.
It's just so good that this. Sorry,
go on.
I was just gonna say it's just so good how competitive this league is because it's like it just changes everything. Like if Bayern have Dortmund, Union Berlin, or Freiburg, suddenly that's a huge game.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Bayern Dortmund's on the 1st of April.
Oh, great!
So it's not far away, and Dortmund play Leipzig on Friday next week. So there's a couple of big games.
Surely, Bayern Dortmund is a potential Football Nation podcast watch along.
Just
surely. Yeah.
Freiburg play Bayern the week after as well.
Yeah,
after
I might have,
Dortmund.
might have to speak to
Brilliant.
Chris about that. I think that's a definite potential watch along there.
You'll know, I reckon, by the 8th of April, full time on the 8th of April, who's going to win the league. If Bayern come through those 2 games unscathed,
Yeah.
that's a big statement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. So, who do you think's going to win the league, Paul?
Just as much as I hate him, I think Bayern will win the league. I just think that there's a thing, isn't there, with clubs who just know how to get it over the line, and when it's like you walk through the door of a training ground and you can feel it. It's what they always say, isn't it? Like Chelsea, when they first won their first couple of leagues, it suddenly changed the feeling. And Bayern's like that. I just don't think Dortmund have that feeling. Union Berlin and Freiburg definitely don't have that. But Bayern are just, different gravy, really. I'd love to see Dortmund do it, but I think if Dortmund do it, it stops Bellingham moving. I think I'd like to see Bellingham in the Premier League.
Yeah. On the do you think that's going to be his destination? Then do you think it's going to be a Premier League move?
I think so. I think you'd be mad to go to Madrid, like I said before. You don't go to Madrid when you look how. If you're going to be replacing a club legend, don't go there.
Yeah,
because it's big shoes to fill, and it's like Moyes at United. You're replacing a club legend. Doesn't matter how well you do, it's never going to be good enough.
And as much as obviously the obvious links are Liverpool, I think the new links to us are coming off recently, but I think that takeover is going to have to get done really quickly for it to be done, because talks with like Liverpool and Real Madrid are at an advanced stage. So it's a long shot. I think we're in the chance if the deal gets done quickly, but at the moment, I think it's Liverpool if he does go to the Prem. And as much as I hate to say it as a United fan, if you're going to a team that desperately needs to rebuild their midfield, it's Liverpool. It's shocking, and they need a whole new midfield. If you want to be the star man in that midfield, you go to Liverpool, because that they need that man to build a midfield around.
100%.
If you go to Real Madrid, they've already signed obviously Camavinga and Tchouaméni, and then they've also still got Toni Kroos, still got Modric. They've got so much depth in that midfield. Are you going to get in straight away?
If he goes to Liverpool, that Liverpool midfield of Biacic, Bellingham, and potentially Harvey Elliott that's incredible, and it's potentially a midfield for the next 10 years. 100%. They're all 21, 22, so that's that'd be a statement. And
also, if you look at British players going to Real Madrid, obviously the obvious one is Gareth Bale. They obviously don't appreciate them as much as like Bale obviously won them 3 Champions League. He just does, and I hate him.
I think for me,
I don't think he helped him.
No, I think Bale was hated because he was seen as the successor to Ronaldo. But when Owen went, he was really well appreciated, and so was McManaman before him. I just think Bale was competition for Ronaldo, and Ronaldo was. I mean, he could literally have walked out of the stadium, punched a young child in the face, and the fans would have loved him. So I think Kroos and Modric are in that Ronaldo bracket.
Yeah.
And that's why he just, don't go there. Take his passport off him.
He did that at United, didn't he? He slapped a phone out of a little boy's hand.
Yeah. And United fans defended him. It's like, really? Jesus.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm going to go Dortmund. What about you?
Most likely Bayern. I would really like it to be Dortmund. They're a fun team, and just to break the whole their sort of Bayern's domination. I think they could it might be a case of like this is the opportunity, because like in the summer if they sign a good striker,
I definitely think if someone does challenge, it will be them, because obviously as good as Union Berlin and Freiburg are doing their level, I think there's going to be a lot of games, and I think they haven't got the depth that Dortmund have to challenge Bayern. And I think that will be their issue going into the next half of the season. But yeah, moving on to the next league, we go to League Uber Eats. PSG, not dominating to their normal levels. They've dropped, especially the last month. They lost to Marseille and to Monaco as well. They're on 57 points. Marcelo on 52, Monaco on 50, Lens on 49, and Rennes on 42. So I think they will win the league, but it seems that something's going on there. Obviously, there's a lot of rumours around the Qatar situation at the moment with United. And we spoke about earlier in the video that they don't find the league very competitive, and they might walk away, I think, if they get a hold of United, or if somehow the United deal falls through and they go for a Liverpool, because I think Qatar won't give up. If it's not us, they'll buy someone else. They will get a Premier League club. If it's not us, they might go buy Arsenal. Qatar get what they want, basically. Do we think it might be good for the league if they did walk away, because it might be a bit more competitive again? Yeah. I think something needs to change in that league to make it more competitive. What do you think, Paul?
It's the equivalent of putting Man City in the National League, isn't it? And as a Wrexham fan, that's like it's exactly what it is, because it's like it would be like, I mean, my point from Wrexham's point of view, like Ryan Reynolds came in and gone, right, here's £50 million, go and invest it in the team. And that's what it is. I'm not saying the French league is that standard, but that's the difference between PSG and Marseille. Monaco, for years were the club that was synonymous with getting to the latter stages of Europe. And they had, I think Falcao used to be up front, didn't he, years ago? Yeah. And now, if it's genuinely a shock if someone else.
Yeah, Monaco had two periods where they won. They won it the season Mbappe, before Mbappe went, and then they loaned Mbappe to PSG straight away, and then made that permanent the year after because they couldn't sign Neymar. That was dodgy. That deal's got to be looked at by FA, surely.
It won't be looked at because there's been brown envelopes passed under tables and all things like that. So.
Yeah, and Qatar.
Didn't they give loads of money to Neymar's parents as part of it?
Yeah,
it's like 100 million or something, or like loads to his parents. So weird.
It's in his contract, isn't it? He always gets his sister's birthday off as well, which is really weird.
It's really strange.
Why do you need to go and celebrate your 30-year-old sister's birthday every year?
I think they have learnt though. If you read the statement about the United bid, who they say is separate, but everyone knows. It's like when Newcastle when the Saudis took over Newcastle last year. It's not the royal family, but everyone knows it's the royal family.
Yeah,
they just have to make another group to say it's not them. But it's the same with United. Everyone knows it is the same. All the people in Qatar have their money in the same pies, and they know it all comes from the same place. But if you read the statement from Qatar on the United side of it, they are going down a different route by the sound of it. They want to go. I think they've learnt their mistakes from PSG and trying to go down the Real Madrid route of building the Galactico team, which didn't really work at Real Madrid all those years back because they didn't win a Champions League. That squad, that Galactico Real Madrid squad, same as this PSG Galactico squad, didn't win the Champions League. And I think if you look at the PSG project, it has been a failure because they've not. That is why they spent the money they've done to win that Champions League, and they've not done it.
Well, we said it, didn't we, before we started the video, that you can have a team of star players, and it will never be as good as a team of good players who plays a team. Yeah. United, we said about the class of '92, that was a team of very good players who were below the Real Madrid Galacticos, but were a better team.
They're a team. They're not just big names.
They play for each other.
It
will always be that way. And if you can't own a club for as long as they've owned PSG and not realise that.
Yeah, if you compare, speaking about Pogba, last season we had Pogba. Obviously, he didn't play much. Pogba, Ronaldo, and you could see the atmosphere at the club.
Yeah.
It was toxic.
Mm-hmm.
If you see now, we block, all our defenders are hugging each other. You can see what it means to that back line to keep a clean sheet, where for so long it's been every man for himself at that club.
Yeah.
And
I think if you have a team of star players, they play for that pay packet. They don't play for the fans and the badge and the. Whereas if you've got a team of good players who know they can be replaced, like Ferguson made it very clear that any player at United could be replaced.
Yeah,
that they play for the club, they play for their position in the team, and they play for the fans, and that is the difference between Liverpool in 2005, for example, and the PSG team of now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, like Arsenal had it with Aubameyang.
Yeah,
had a horrible attitude, and you get rid of him, and everything completely changes.
Yeah, and that attitude's continued. He went to Barcelona. Some reason they want him back. I'm not sure why, but then he went to Chelsea. He can't get a game for Chelsea because of his attitude again, and they're 10th, and he can't get a game for him. So
well, there's a reason Klopp
crazy.
didn't go for him, isn't there? Klopp managed him at Dortmund. There's a reason he didn't want him at Liverpool.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's. Do we think Monaco can soon? Obviously, they had that when they were trying that squad with Falcao and all that was such a good squad. The year they won that league with Falcao but the way they gone that they came into the league, they got a lot of money themselves that around about that time, and people thought they can finally compete against PSG, but they used it thinking where they're Monaco, they don't have to pay as much tax as the rest of the league.
Yeah.
And then UEFA and all that's not how it works. Just because you're in Monaco, you've still got to pay the same amount of tax as everyone else. But they thought they could get away with building the super team by not paying any tax, basically. Which is sad because I think if they did it properly, and they might have had a more competitive league with PSG, and it would have been nice. Teams like Lyon, where have Lyon gone? Like,
where are they in the table?
They're 9th at the moment.
9th.
Yeah.
Mental, the teams they've had in the past, and they're nowhere near it now. It's sad. Like the money PSG have spent have done this to the whole of the league. Marseille again, they're having a good season this season, but for years they've been struggling a lot.
The thing is, the Lyon team, there are players in there that are good players. I mean, Lovren is a centre back for him. Tolisso in midfield. They've got Dembele up front, so that there is a good core of a team.
Yeah,
I just don't think they have squad
Dembele's back there as well now, isn't he?
Yeah, so they just don't have the squad depth to be able to consistently perform. I mean, Lovren was brought in to strengthen the defence, and how old is he now? What, 34?
Must be going on for that. Yeah.
So you don't bring a 34-year-old in to strengthen your defence.
Yeah.
The squad depth's an issue with Lyon, I think. I mean, Jerome Boateng's there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And he's not even getting a game.
What about Balogun? Have you seen him? On loan from Arsenal. Is he still the top scorer? He was top scorer in La Liga. In Ligue 1.
He is, yeah.
And that's incredible. Like, obviously, is he 19 or something on loan from Arsenal?
Yeah.
But that kind of tells you, like you were talking about, the level of the league. Obviously, he's done amazing, but...
Do you think that's why Arsenal didn't go... Actually, they're in a title race with that. A lot of people thought they would go for a big-name striker with the injury at the moment to Jesus. Do you think that's why they didn't go for another striker in...
There's a Balogun. I think they probably have a plan for the summer. I mean, even just getting Trossard was quite a big deal. It's not something Arsenal would have traditionally done under Wenger. Never used to sign anyone in January, no matter how many injuries we got. I think they were trying to think more long term. I would have maybe liked to see a loan, someone come in on loan, but then again, it's like, who do you get? Do
you think Balogun will get game time at Arsenal next season after this season? I think he's got.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so. But I think it's going to be between him and Nketiah then.
Yeah.
And he'll probably have to sell Nketiah then. Which
Who's-
I don't know how I feel about that. I think I'll know by the end of the season.
He's an odd one. We'll go on to Arsenal in a bit, but Nketiah is an odd one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do we have anything else to add on League?
No, I mean just that the manager of Balogun's team, is it Rem?
Yeah.
How do you say
Rennes.
it?
Rennes.
Is it Ren, or is it
Rems, I think.
Is it? Yeah, Rems. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not the 5th place team. It's
No, it's not
okay.
Rennes, it's Rems.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen how old their manager is?
Yeah, he's the football manager player.
He's
32,
32 years
isn't he?
old.
we
Yeah.
spoke about this. Yeah.
So it's absolutely
Yeah, they
crazy.
get fined, I think it's 20,000 euros every game
Yeah.
Yeah.
because he's not got the badges.
Well, it's just keep winning, so I don't care.
Yeah.
It's really funny, isn't it? Yeah.
He's brilliant, he is, to be fair. He's,
It puts a bit of hope in all of us. Like, as I know there's a lot of people when asking me
Exactly.
to play Football Manager for like maybe one day.
if I sent
could
somebody
go,
my
yeah.
football manager save, I wouldn't get hired. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I'm on a draw streak at the moment with Norwich, so I definitely think I'll be the same situation as you, Paul. So, moving on to the Barclays Premier League, and
Is it still called the Barclays Premier League? It's not
yes,
still sponsored by Barclays, is it?
I think so.
yeah,
Who else?
Is it?
Who would it be?
yeah. They've dropped the Barclays from the actual logo, but I think they're actually still sponsored by them.
I thought it was EA now.
Don't
Is
think
it?
so. I
Ooh,
don't think
So
so.
I've got to check.
Yeah, it is EA. They
it?
would sponsor them last year anyway.
Oh. Anyway, the Premier League.
God, we'll be calling it the Premiership next. It's rewind time.
Arsenal currently top on 54 points after 17 games. Man City 16 games, and 17 wins for Arsenal, 54 points, 16 games, 16 wins, 52 points for Man City, 4 draws and 4 losses for them, three draws, 3 losses for Arsenal. And then you've got United, who are outsiders at the moment. I don't think they will win the league, even as a United fan, but we're having our best season in a long time, and we are just below them on 49 points. So, and Arsenal and Man City do have to play each other still once. So, I think this is the tightest Premier League we've had in a long time. 3 competitors. When's the last time we had that? 3 competitors for the league.
The season Leicester won it. It looked like it.
Yeah,
was.
Spurs pushed them all the way to the end, didn't they?
Yeah.
And Arsenal were around there for a bit.
Yeah.
Probably around this stage.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, probably.
And they fell away.
I think
obviously.
a couple of years ago there was somebody hot on the heels of Liverpool and City and then fell away. Everybody was falling away from Liverpool and City.
Yeah, that was us.
Yeah,
Everyone
you were
said-
pretty close around this time, weren't you?
Yeah, everyone said that. We were top going because everyone says whoever's top at Christmas wins the
Yeah.
league. We went into Christmas top of the league. All the United fans knew we weren't going to win it, and we were just winding everyone up.
Yeah, the Liverpool fans loved that because the last team to do it before you was Liverpool.
Yeah.
So they loved that you took that off them.
So, yes. So, Arsenal, what a season they're having. They're backed. A lot of people last season were on Arteta's back. Arteta out everywhere. Arsenal fan TV just destroying Arteta.
But you can't take that as
I love Arsenal fan
as,
TV.
as a realistic thing. I think. Like I've never really liked Arsenal fan TV. I watch all the rival fans versions that they've all started up when they lose. Absolutely. But I've got a season ticket, and like all the people I sit with, all my friends, they're not the same as what you see on Arsenal fan. Even when it was all Wenger out and stuff, that's not what that wasn't. I don't think that was the majority, but it's the people that are the loudest.
Yeah, it's a vocal minority, isn't it?
Yeah. Like I didn't want Arteta out, but I was kind of cautious about it, like, because there are times when the football wasn't great. You could see what he was trying to do, but I guess it was the players he had, to be fair, because it's quite a different team now. And obviously you've got players like Saka that are a lot better now. And like Jesus and Zinchenko are really, really good signings.
Both of the centre-backs, quality.
Yeah, I mean, we've been quite lucky there, like with Saliba was in France for a
I'm
season.
surprised Saliba hasn't had. I've said it before on the podcast quite a few times. I'm surprised they took so long to give Saliba a chance. Like, I think he had some really good seasons in Liga, and I thought they've got to give him a chance. Surely,
I guess they were just trying to be patient with him, which I think that's how Arteta does things.
As you say, though, you could see he was building something. Like, I always compare him as an ex-player to Ollie.
Yeah.
And as a United fan, at the back of my head, I couldn't see what Ollie was doing. He was occasionally getting results, but it was just counter-attacking football. And you couldn't really see what Ollie was trying to do. And even if you compared that to Arteta, even if he wasn't getting results, you could see what he was trying to do.
I think so. Yeah. I think. I'm still kind of. I can't believe it. Like, I can't believe this season. I can't believe, like, Arteta is someone I've seen. I actually saw Arteta's first goal for Arsenal, which not many people can say because it was away at Ewood Park. And we lost 4-3 somehow. I think we might have scored 2 own goals or something. It was really stupid. But to see a player, and like, it's just so weird that he's not been a manager before. To manage a club like Arsenal, it doesn't really make sense, does it? And then you've got like Klopp and Conte, who are really struggling this season, and you would never have seen it coming. Like, I think it's just what keeps it so exciting. Like, for me, it's been obviously just such an emotional roller coaster. Like I say, I go every other week, and especially when I was at the game against City, and the way we weren't very good. I thought second half we were really bad. Just kept giving it away.
Yeah.
And you thought it was done, really, to be honest. You just thought, I don't see how we're going to get back. You expect with Haaland and everything, they're just going to keep winning now. And then the way, I mean, I got married on Saturday.
Congratulations.
And I had, thanks. Yeah, it's amazing, right?
Has it gone down well? You doing a podcast tonight, mate?
Yeah, it's all right. Well, this is the thing. Just before the ceremony, I was on my phone following the game. It wasn't supposed to be at that time, was it? They changed it, moved it around the TV. And amazingly, the photographers got photos of me celebrating the winning goal. If anyone, it's my Twitter profile picture now, if anyone wants to see it. But like, that happening, and then City drawing in that way as well. It's not like it was a tight, it's not like City scored in the last minute. They conceded right at the end. It's just, it's so hard to call where this is going to go, like, because you just don't know when City are going to drop points. Like, they drew at home against Everton. They lost at home to Brentford in the 98th minute or whatever. It's so weird this season, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't...
What impresses me about Arsenal is the turnaround in players like Xhaka.
Yeah.
He has gone from being an absolute liability to one of the most important players.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, right? So Wenger signed him, didn't he, originally?
Yeah.
3 managers have absolutely loved him.
Yeah.
So it tells you a lot about the player, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's not the same as like Aubameyang.
No, I think he struck me as like a hothead.
Oh, big time.
He was a liability, and if the game got heated, you were going on Bet365 to put a bet on him getting sent off.
Yeah. And
he doesn't seem to do that this year. I think I saw it the other week when it was getting a bit heated, and he was calming other players down.
Yeah.
I remember when he was captain and he got sent off for something really petulant, and you're like, you can't be doing that. You're a captain.
The game against Palace when he got substituted, and he walked off really slowly when we were losing, I think.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, hurry up. And then he started reacting to the crowd. Yeah. So ugly. And you thought that was it. Like, you thought that, next window he's gone.
Yeah.
Because he was going to go Roma.
How much we know, doesn't it?
Because he was going to go Roma, and he to join Jose, who's good segue here. Jose's Roma has scored again. It's now 2-0 against Salzburg. Other goals are Yusa Berling are 2-0 up against Ajax. United still 1-0 down against Barcelona.
No, United.
No, they're not.
United's 1-0.
Oh, it's
Fred scored.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
now,
come on.
I
Cool.
think.
So, yeah, that's 1-1.
Wow, 3-3 on aggregate.
Union
What a game.
Berlin are 2-0 up as well.
Yeah,
Whoa.
and yeah,
They're
and
being outplayed as well, by the way, Union Berlin. You have a look at the stats for that game. Wow. Ajax had 72% possession, triple the amount of shots, and are losing 2-1. Ajax have just scored.
And yeah, Fiorentina are 2-1 down against Braga as well. Yeah, so going back onto the Prem after we update these results. Yeah, so yeah, I just don't feel City are the same team this season. We've spoken about it many times about the Haaland situation. I just don't think they're as good. They've not had a striker for 3 years. And me and Paul were talking about before the show. And if you look at the modern game in the Premier League, the last 3 or 4 successful teams, if you look at Liverpool, for example, Firmino, he didn't score loads of goals, but he was a team player. He linked that team together. He didn't get the plaudits of a Salah or a Mane. And then you look at City as well when they had Jesus, who's now at Arsenal. He linked up that front three, so he wouldn't have as many goals as a traditional number 9, but it worked better. And do you think Haaland just doesn't suit Man City after they've not had a striker for so long?
It's hard to say when a player scored 26 goals that he makes them worse, isn't it? But he does make them a slightly worse team. But because his touches in the opposition's danger areas are minimal. Unless you are giving him the pass to put in the net, he doesn't really get involved in the play. And I think the 4-3-3 now that City like to play is almost a little bit inverted up front, whereas we used to think of it like the point of the arrow. It's almost the opposite now. That striker's got to be a number 10. Got to be a Wayne Rooney kind of player, even a Harry Kane. And no doubt people who say this will get dog abuse for it. But Haaland is an amazing player, but he 100% makes Man City a worse team because they've got 10 players doing build-up as opposed to 11. Even when Aguero was at City and Foden was coming through, Foden would play in that number 10 role instead of Aguero.
Yeah.
And that tells you what you need to know. Haaland's only getting as much game time as he is because the club know and Pep knows that he'll be off if he doesn't play.
Yeah, even look at us, for example. Like we had Cristiano Ronaldo. We played worse with Cristiano Ronaldo in that team this season. Last season, he was really key to us in a really poor season. We would have had a lot of worse season if we didn't have him. But this season, start of the season, if you look at under Ten Hag with him, he just didn't build. He just wouldn't press. And if you look at that front three now, if it's Sancho, Rashford, or whoever's in the front three, Rashford changes all three. I know Martial's had his injury crisis problems, but when he's fit, changes with all that front three. That whole team is pressing together. And I think it's a very similar situation to what's happening at Man City with Haaland.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Yeah, it's the way that they just have to. It's like they're just always trying to get the ball to Haaland, and it doesn't work as well. Even against the game against Arsenal, like it was partly so frustrating because at least 2 of the goals they scored were just Arsenal mistakes.
Yeah,
and they didn't look as dominant as they have. They've come to the Emirates before. We've not been that bad, and they've just passed it around like Barcelona used to. And you just can't get near him, and then De Bruyne smashes it in the bottom corner, and it's not like that anymore.
No.
Yeah.
It's I think I had this discussion with someone else, and I said his goals are masking the impact he has on that team, and if he suddenly stops scoring, goes through a cold spell, which, in fairness, the lad hasn't done it in his entire career, has he? But at some point, history tells you that you're going to go through it. Harry Kane goes through it every August.
Yeah.
For example. When that happens, his gameplay can't adapt to the way City need him to play for other players to get in scoring positions. So City will be in trouble when that happens.
Yeah.
He nullifies the part of the threat the likes of Silva, Foden, Grealish to some extent, De Bruyne give you because of the way he plays, and everything has to go through him.
Yeah. Definitely.
I quite like the fact that City has spent all this money on him and are struggling to get it to work.
Yeah.
Just because,
but like you say, he has scored so many goals.
Yeah.
It's not like he's a flop, is it?
No.
No.
That's it. The reason I like it is because if at some point, if over the summer or next preseason, they can get it where he can play the role they need and still score, that is, yeah.
I think it's a risky move they're taking as well. Like, I don't know how long Pep's going to be there, but if he's got to build another team, for example, I think he has recently signed a new contract. But if we're going on, you never know if they get a transfer ban or he said that if it turns out they lied, he would walk. He's kind of turned that. Yeah. If they got a point deduction, 100%, he would walk, and I wouldn't be surprised. But is it risky putting all your baskets onto building a team around someone who made it clear, and this is why not a lot of other teams went paid what it was worth, that he wants a release clause in 2024?
I don't think the team's built around him. I think the idea is the team will be built around Foden.
Yeah.
But because of that release clause, and because, do you know what, his agent and his dad are just the kind of people who go, he's not playing, we're off. They have to play him. Yeah. So I don't think the team is actually I just think everything they've done so far is stopped. There's no planning for the future with City at the moment.
Yeah.
For the next 12, 18 months, there is no planning for the future. There just can't be. No logical thinking can say we're going to build the team around Foden, but everything's got to go through Haaland. He's going to be playing for Madrid in 2025.
Yeah, exactly. I think I see a similar situation with Haaland than Ibra. I think he's going to have a lot of clubs.
Yeah.
I think he's going to move around and trophy jump between clubs.
I question whether at some point will clubs be able to afford him.
Yeah.
He goes to a Madrid and then maybe a PSG. No one else can afford those wages, so he'll be stuck.
Yeah.
Either that or he'll take a big pay cut or he'll go Qatar and play with Ronaldo. That's always a possibility.
Imagine him in the Qatar League. He was 100 goals.
Horrendous. She's so bad.
Here first, Qatar will sign next summer.
Do you know what the real kicker is, right? This is the season that Liverpool could have gone, City aren't the best, we can dominate this season. And they've just been so much worse.
They're terrible.
They've been so bad. They've not done what Fergie was so good at, rebuilding the squad. Their midfield, I don't think they've signed an experienced midfield outside of Thiago since Wijnaldum, and I'm not including Keita because he spends more time with the NHS than he does with Jurgen Klopp. Their midfield is so poor. They're relying on a youth player to get them through games at the moment. Yeah. And Darwin Núñez, he's starting to hit form now. He seems to have found his feet a little bit, but I think too much was expected of him. I really do.
Yeah, and I think same with the other striker they got in from PSV, Gakpo, who they clearly signed to stop United getting him because they didn't need it. They needed other issues.
It's so weird, isn't it? It's so weird how dominant they were, like how good they were every game. To see them like this now and signing players that, when do you remember when they signed like Jota, and he fits right in. And he looks world class. And now
the transfers were done previously by Michael Edwards.
Yeah,
he's not there anymore.
Yeah,
and Michael Edwards used to plan 3 windows ahead, so he'd know who he was already talking to clubs. And he's now, I think he's not even in football at the moment. And whoever's doing it now just doesn't have a Scooby-Doo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the Liverpool owners won't splash a lot of money when you compare them to other teams.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that's because they
if-
put it up for sale and have now changed their mind and everything else. But
They want an investment, not a full
Yeah.
sale. Yeah, that's why.
but that might not come for 2 years, apparently.
Because that's why originally the Qatars were originally in for them before they went in for us. But the Qatars want a full sale, and the Glazers are kind of being forced to do that. There are other rumours, but the route they are.
If the Liverpool owners don't start investing cash soon, because supposedly Liverpool are making profit, so why? And they're investing money in the Red Sox hand over fist. So why aren't they doing that for Liverpool? Is the argument?
It's the same with the Glazers and the infrastructure, because they've not put any money into our infrastructure, but they've put money into their team in America. I can't remember what it's called.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, yeah. And going on to that, do you think I'm just taking every game as it goes at the moment? I think we're having a good season. We've proved a lot under Ten Hag. We're more of a team. Do you think we're in the title race? I don't think we got the squad depth for it.
I don't think so.
No.
I think that's the only reason. I think the football we're playing, and I think is up there with City and Arsenal, but I just don't think we've got the squad depth. I think if Rashford gets an injury...
I was about to say that. I think you're 1 or 2 injuries away from trouble.
Yeah,
Casemiro gets injured, I think it's trouble for you. And I think Rashford gets injured, then it's trouble.
Varane, Martinez, if any of these players getting in... what Ten Hag's done in the last transfer window, amazing. But I think he still needs a bit more. I'd say at least another centre back to replace Maguire, because I think if Varane, as good as Shaw's been at centre back, I think you've got to play him at left back, and we're playing him at centre back to cover that, because we don't want to play Maguire if Varane or Martinez are injured. So I think we need another centre back, maybe go back in for a Timber, and then potentially a goalkeeper to push David De Gea, and then obviously a striker, which is the main goal for the summer. But I think we need at least 3 or 4 players in the summer to compete. But I think he's having a great season.
I think you got a bit of that fragility. You were 2-0 down to Leeds a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Got the draw. Palace scored that really late equaliser. You lost to Arsenal in the last second. Yeah. And I think there's still a bit, I think if you were more consistent, I'd think, you're up there. But I still think I see United dropping more points, I think.
Yeah, I agree. At the start of the season, I didn't think first season under Ten Hag, I thought top 4 at a minimum.
Yeah.
And I think he's doing really well. We're the only team still left in all competitions at the moment. That could change in the next 40 minutes. But yeah, I'm happy with the season. I wouldn't expect us to be in the situation we are, because we haven't got the depth for it. Do you think that's going to be Arsenal's issue, squad depth? I think if you do get some injuries, do you think you're in a similar situation to us on that?
Absolutely. If Saka gets injured, that's a massive blow. At the same time, though, there is Gabriel Jesus to come back, Smith Rowe. Yeah, it's really hard to go. I think Jorginho was a great signing.
Yeah.
And Trossard as well. Like I said before, we've been in situations where we've been near the top, get a big injury, and then when we had Wenger, he wouldn't sign anyone. He'd want the younger players to step up, and it didn't work. Whereas I think Arteta's a lot more ambitious and realistic.
I think Liverpool before challenging against Man City with the squad depth they have is amazing. But I think even this season, United and Arsenal, even to be in the question against Man City, with the squad depth Man City have, that they could have probably, their B team could probably win the league on a good day if they're playing well, is to be in that question, even from United or Arsenal, is big in my opinion at the moment. I'm not sure what you guys think about that.
No, it's amazing. And everyone just thought, everyone thought it'd be City and Liverpool in the title race again. And I think most people thought City were going to run away with it.
The thing is as well, City have spent £400 million on just defenders.
Yeah.
So there isn't a team that can match their squad depth. I don't think there ever will be, because United will add squad depth to get to where City are now, but City will be 3 seasons ahead of them because they'll have gone and reinvested more money. So I think injuries are. I do think though, if Haaland gets injured, how big an effort is it for City to change their entire system that they've trained for all season? That could be the key injury with City.
Alvara's pretty good though, isn't he? I mean, I've not seen him that much.
I think Alvaro up top would be. Obviously, he had such a good World Cup. I think him up top could be really good because, as we're saying in the modern game with the interchange, I think he could do that role really well. That interchange.
It's changing your whole tactics, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's whether he changes the whole tactics of what you've trained for all season. If it happens now, you've spent 9 months working on this tactic, and then they're professional footballers on £500,000 a week, so they should be able to do it. But footballers are also notoriously stupid.
Yeah.
So,
but you just don't know, do you? When drop points.
But I think for me, I'm still amazed Tottenham are where they are.
Yeah.
The fact they're still 4th despite the season they're having, and Spurs fans are wanting Conte out.
Yeah.
Appreciate what you've got, because you could have someone like Roy Hodgson, and you're not going to get anybody better than Conte to go to Spurs.
Yeah, they used to. Well, they want good football, don't they? And this is not.
That's the thing. Do you want good football and not get Champions League, or do you want Champions League football? And
I
mean, realistically, I suppose if you're not going to win trophies, and Spurs never win trophies, then I suppose seeing good football would be the better thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it is. I mean, like even like with Arsenal, when Wenger retired and we had Emery for a bit, and the football was crap.
Yeah,
it makes a big difference to your life. It does make you kind of miserable. So I understand it.
Yeah, I completely understand. Like, because with like Wrexham, we play quite direct football. We've got a 6'4" striker, and we hoof it long to him, and he nods it on, and it's a goal. If we weren't challenging to get promoted, it'd be miserable. But I'm not bothered because we're challenging to get promoted.
Yeah, so exactly.
Next season might be a different story.
Do you think? I think Newcastle have made it too difficult for themselves now with the draws they've had. I don't think the top 4 changes now.
I don't think they have a top 4 team, though. To be where they are is really impressive.
Yeah, because they've been challenging all season, but they're just getting too many draws now.
I think it's fatigue now, because their squad depth is... They've still got the bulk of the squad that was bottom when Howe came in.
Yeah, he's done such a good job.
He's done such a good job to get them where they are. I think another season of investment this summer.
And they've recruited so well as well. If you compare it to Man City, who just came in with all the money and just threw money at it.
Who'll forget Robinho thinking he was signing for United.
And then it just didn't work at the start. And if you compare that to Newcastle, who's done it gradually over the last 2 windows, they've made smart signings.
Yeah, and they've got a sensible manager. Like they could have gone, let's get Conte or Mourinho and be like, look, we're a big club now, kind of thing, and it could have been absolutely awful.
Signing Nick Pope was a stroke of genius as well, because most people, if a goalkeeper gets relegated, they tend to avoid him like the plague. But he's been their best player this season.
Same with Arsenal.
Ahead of Saturday's incident, but
you can say the same with Arsenal and Ramsdale, where he got relegated twice.
No, amazing. He's been an amazing signing.
Sometimes you do just need a goalkeeper. Just needs a decent defense in front of him.
Yeah.
But the amount of key teams that will look at a goalie that's been relegated and say, he's awful. And fans do it as well, but they're not. They're just, if you're getting hit with 30 shots a game, the likelihood is 2 or 3 are going to go in.
Yeah. If you look at Everton, when obviously Pickford's been linked with bigger clubs recently,
He's signing a new contract. He's about to sign a new contract, apparently.
Yeah, but if you compare Pickford for England to Pickford for Everton, because of that back line, I'm amazed that Pickford's signing a new contract with Everton. His record for England is really good.
Well, I'm amazed he's going to sign this new contract. I think him staying at Everton will lose him his England's #1 shirt to Nick Pope.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
I think he could have been the Tim Howard of this generation and go to United and push De Gea. He could have been that goalkeeper. Instead, he's going to stay at Everton and fight relegation and have his reputation damaged by that. Whereas Nick Pope and Ramsdale are going to be the top dogs in the league.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to go Spurs. I thought he was linked to Spurs. 'cause they
He's
need
been
a
linked with
keeper.
Yeah,
Spurs,
it's on the-
United, and Chelsea.
Oh yeah, Chelsea as well.
I think if we get a goalkeeper,
Chelsea just
it'll
signed.
be.
Stick with Kepa.
I think if we get a goalkeeper, we'll go to Brentford and get the guy from Brentford.
Raya.
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 He's good.
I think that's what will happen if we get a goalkeeper. Yeah, on people who spent a lot of money though. Another club that is definitely struggling is Chelsea. Chris is in the chat. 600 million in 6 months. They're 10th. What is going wrong there? The money,
As
the
Chris
amount of
is
money
here,
they should be.
Can we just say, as Chris is here, we absolutely love that Chelsea are struggling. Long may it continue. And if they go bust, it will be a great day. I think I said it before, didn't I, that Chelsea have signed so many wingers and attackers, which is amazing, but their best defender's 36 years old. Thiago Silva's their best defender, and the guy goes into the games on a Zimmer frame.
I do
He'll
like
be
the
on a
guy they got
mobility
from
scooter
Monaco.
next year.
I do like the centre back they got from Monaco. I can't remember his name. You know, what
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I do think it's just Graham Potter is. I don't think I'd put my money on that Graham Potter has not said go out and sign all these players. He's probably not asked for 85% of the players they've signed.
He must be
I feel bad.
terrified.
I feel
It must
bad
be
for
horrible
him.
for him.
He must check his drawers every day to check his like P45's not been slipped in there and just it's
Yeah.
the only benefit he's got in American sports tend to wait till the end of season to sack coaches, so he might be getting that. But
Yeah, and especially because Bowley sacked Tuchel and brought him in.
yeah,
gotta
he's
stand by
Bowley's
him a
man,
little
isn't
bit.
he?
Yeah, and he was meant to be the new Chelsea, not sacking managers, going under younger managers and building it. But I think 100% if he didn't pick the Chelsea job, the Southgate situation would have been a lot different after the World Cup. Because I think the FA would have made a decision and got Southgate.
I think Southgate to the FA is to what Potter is to Bowley. Yes, man.
Yeah, but I think there would have been a question mark over him, Potter, for the England job if he hadn't already gone to Chelsea at that point.
Could still happen though when he gets sacked.
Yeah, he'll be free in the summer.
But yeah, I think it didn't start straight away with Brighton as well. He built like I think Brighton have improved since he left.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he obviously set the groundwork for what they're doing now, and he is a good manager. But I live close to Brighton, so I've seen the work he's done, and he is a great manager, and he built the foundations for what Brighton are doing now. But he got time. The first season they did struggle, and then they started building what they're building now. I just don't think he's going to get that time at Chelsea, which is sad. I think he's picked the
Rome's
wrong
not
project.
selling,
step up, isn't it?
Yeah, Rome isn't built in a day, is it? You don't. You need time to get. You've signed what 15 players, I think, and most of them are designed for your first team, so they're not all of a sudden just going to click. It's going to take a bit of time. You think
you're looking at PSG, what we talked about earlier with PSG again. Are they trying to go down the Galactico thing of just not building a team? They're just buying players.
Exactly.
Players
well, we mentioned Nunes and Gapco before, didn't we? And how it took them time to click. Sometimes it just does take that little bit of time to go. Oh, now it works, and off they go.
Yeah.
It doesn't always. It's not. And I think because some of the players are so young, they were never going to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And because they've all got such big transfer fees, there's a lot of pressure on young heads.
It's completely random, isn't it? Those signings, like they should have just got a number 9 in.
Yeah.
The lad they signed that was pretty much gone to Arsenal. That's a Gapco signing. They've only signed him because he was going to Arsenal.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And there's no planning. There's no right.
And like at Arsenal, he wouldn't have been starting every game. No. He would have been off the bench. He would have been eased in. Yeah. And there, it's just like, all right, go on, win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're still losing. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no looking at the squad and going, we need to start looking at centre backs because Thiago Silva's there. We need to start looking at, right backs, and it's just I like attacking players. Let's get them. Like they're all on sale at Christmas. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Chris loves it though.
It's just like they're just copying everyone else's homework. Who do Madrid want? Who do Arsenal want?
Who do United want? It? I guarantee if we look back on the internet, every player they've signed has been linked to another team. Yeah. Guarantee it. You will find a story linking into someone else before they were linked to Chelsea.
It's just like we always hear about how hard it is to sign anyone in January, and then you always want your team to sign someone and it doesn't quite happen. And even Arsenal signing 2 players is a big deal. But then this was like, it doesn't happen. It's like you do
another
this
level,
in
wasn't
FIFA. I know a lot of people have said that, but like, it's crazy, wasn't it? This January transfer window it must have been the most busy. Obviously, it's the most money spent in January.
Yeah,
yeah, we've been the most signings ever.
The rest of the top, the rest of the top 5 league combined, made nowhere near what the Premier League spent.
I said to a friend of mine, who's a Sheffield Wednesday fan, so he's very much against teams spending big. He thinks it's they can't afford a packet of crisps, but. I said to him, do you remember the days when it used to be a really big deal on Sky Sports News when the Premier League as a whole broke £1 billion?
Yeah.
Chelsea will break £1 billion in the summer. It'll be ridiculous. At some point, Chelsea will just spend that much money in one hit. And everybody's like, it's ruining football.
Yeah.
It's been a goal, by the way.
Ooh.
See? Should I tell you?
Yep.
Anthony scored.
Come on!
Yeah, so there's still about 25 minutes left or whatever.
I hope he done his dance just to piss everyone off.
Oh no, it's like 15 minutes left.
Fernan Torres has come on for Barcelona by looking at.
I hate Anthony's spinning thing he does, man.
I hope he.
I can't stand it.
It's the most pointless thing in football, isn't it?
That's the thing.
Doesn't actually do anything. If he did it and then put it on a plate for somebody to score it, it'd look amazing. But he doesn't.
Just spins for no reason.
Yeah. Anyway, that covers the Premier League. So, talking about United and Newcastle in the Premier League, next we have the Carabao Cup final.
I didn't do your graphic for this. I forgot about this one. Sorry.
It's all right. We've got the Carabao Cup final this weekend. So
Loris Karius is going to win this for Newcastle to redeem himself.
Oh, is he playing?
Yeah, because Pope's suspended and Dubravka's cup time.
Oh, I didn't know they had Karius. Wow.
Yeah, he's their third choice.
Oh my!
I don't think he's put gloves on all season.
The funny thing about this is, if United win the cup,
Dubravka gets a medal.
Dubravka gets a medal because he used to be. He was there on loan the first half of the season.
So if United win the cup, does he get to go up the steps at Wembley and collect it, or does he have to? Does it get mailed to him? How does that work? Oh God!
I think this will be really tough for United because if Newcastle, I think they'll approach it the way we played them. I don't know, like a month ago or whatever, and it was 0-0, and they came for a draw. They did absolutely nothing. They time wasted, like the most blatant time wasting I've ever seen. Just pretending to be injured constantly. And I think they'll probably do a bit of that. And it's going to be really hard to break them down. If you score early, then I think that's that.
They can't play how they played against Liverpool at the weekend because they didn't respect Liverpool in a way that they thought they came thinking they could beat them. Yeah. And instead they didn't try and play on the counter attack. They tried to play on the front foot. And it was a disaster from the first goal, really.
Yeah, I think we'll win, but it's going to be a 1-0. It's either going to be 1-0 us or 1-0 Newcastle because... Yeah. I think there's 2 teams who are really good defensively. We've improved so much defensively under Ten Hag, and that back line is really good. But and same with Newcastle. I think it's going to be 1-0 Rashford goal. The form he's in. I think that's how it's going to happen. And he does like Wembley. So I'm going one
to see who starts for Newcastle. Has Isak been playing?
Yeah, he played at the weekend against Liverpool.
Yeah, he's just come back. Yeah,
he's pretty dangerous, isn't he?
Yeah,
I feel like he might hit form again because he was really good before he got injured, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was
Sam
so good at
Maximan's
Sociedad.
playing again as well, isn't he? He's back fit
yeah.
now. There are players
Yeah.
in the Newcastle team that can do you damage if they turn up.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely. Yeah.
if they turn up is the big question.
Well, it'll
Yeah,
be
I
pure
am-
counter attack.
Yeah,
St.
it'd be long
Maximin.
balls for St. Maximin to chase. And
Yeah.
What good point for Newcastle though? They've had an extended break because obviously we're playing tonight against Barcelona, which is a big game, and then 3 days later we're in the cup final. So he's probably he's gone very strong against Barcelona. So I think the only I probably would have switched, I proved wrong because he scored. I probably would have put Fred out for Sabitzer, but and then that's probably our strongest lineup. But yeah, I think he'll go fairly strong in the next game as well, and then rest it in the Premier League game after that.
He's gone strong in every single round of the Carabao Cup, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's taken it so seriously.
Yeah, he's
against teams
taken
he
all the
should be
cup.
beating,
He's taken all the cups seriously.
Yeah.
If you look at him at Ajax, they hadn't won anything for a few years when he came in, and it was a struggling Ajax team, and he won something in his first season. And I think he wants to do that at United, even if it is a Carabao Cup.
it's a cup at the end of the
He
day,
wants
though, isn't
something.
it? I know it gets taught down by fans and things, but it only gets taught down by fans who have been knocked out.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, it's a cup final. It's a day out at Wembley, and it's something in the trophy, and you can say you've won a cup at the end of the season. I never understand that.
It can be a springboard.
It's not like
There's so many teams, big teams, have used a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup, which I don't think the FA Cup gets the respect it deserves anymore. But so many people have used that as a springboard to winning league titles, to winning Champions Leagues.
It's like the Community Shield. Everybody always says it's it's worthless and things, but it's not, because if like when Liverpool City played it, whoever won that put a marker down.
Yeah.
That's the first big win of the season done. So every game from the Charity Shield onwards is important. You know, in some respects, I really hope Newcastle win on Sunday. I think out of all of the clubs who I'd like to see win a trophy, it'd be Newcastle. I remember the Keegan rant when they were, odds on to win the Premier League and all that stuff. I just think it'd be good. I think it'd be nice for Eddie Howe to kind of have he took a risk going to Newcastle. I think it's it shows it's worth it.
Yeah. And they're still obviously massive underdogs despite how much money they have, and that's always fun.
Yeah.
When underdogs pull it
I'll be
off.
painting my face black and white for the game on Sunday. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I am really nervous for it, but I'm gonna go 1-0, as I say. It's going to be a tight game. Paul, what are you going for your score?
I'll probably go 1-0 as well. I don't think it'll be much in it, just because the way Newcastle play on the counter attack, like we said before, that they won't score loads and loads of goals. But they'll be tight enough that United don't get through. And I think if you play Weghorst up front, it plays into their hands. It's a target man, and I just don't understand.
If you watch the last few games, though, he's playing Weghorst as a 10 and Rashford's up top. And it's been quite effective. It's been quite effective because he does press quite a lot, but he's just.
If you play Anthony instead of him and have Rashford, kind of leading, that's a different ball game. Yeah. But Anthony can spin around a few times and kick it out for a throw in or something. Yeah, it'd be 1-0 either way, I think. Penalties would be nice though.
Yeah, I could see it. Maybe I think it might go to penalties. Not maybe like 1-1 and go to penalties. There's extra time in the final, right?
Yeah.
But not in the rest of the tournament. Is that right?
Yeah.
It goes straight to penalties.
Yeah.
I could see that happening because I think it will be really tight. I think both teams are going to be really cautious and careful because you don't want to go 1-0 down to Newcastle.
No.
Looking forward to it. But like I say, if you score early, I think it will be Man United.
It'll be interesting to see if you try and put the pressure on Karius early on.
Yeah.
Because he's not had any success since that final. He had a loan spell while he was at Liverpool, which was a disaster in Germany.
I thought he went to Besiktas.
Oh, it was Besiktas, sorry, yeah. So he's not had any success anywhere because Besiktas tried sending him back in the middle of that loan and Liverpool said no.
Yeah.
So he just sat in the reserves in Besiktas. So you put pressure on him early, he could crack. But the same, Karius was never a bad goalkeeper. He just had a mistake in him.
Yeah.
Same as De Gea, really.
Yeah. It will be an interesting one. So thanks for watching, guys. And Paul, where can we find you?
I'm on Twitter at GamesFM or on the FM podcast page if you go and watch that non-league video, which we talk about Notts County and Wrexham, and give me your thoughts on that. And then next week we've got a interview with the Southend Supporters Trust, who have their big court hearing on Wednesday to find out whether they're going to get wound up. So it's that'll be an interesting episode. Could be quite emotional with a few of those guys on the call.
Yeah. And massive thanks for coming on again, Bella Safar. We always enjoy talking to you. What have you got planned for the future, and where can we find you?
Thanks for having me. On Twitter, I'm Zaffa Cakes, like it says down there, ZAFAR Cakes. Same on Twitch, I do a lot of stuff on. Exciting times for PES United right now on Twitch. And I'm going on tour all around the UK and a date in Dublin. That's the main thing now.
Yep. And do you think Arsenal are going to win the league?
It's weird.
This will be clipped. If you say yes and they don't, it's going to be clipped and put out on all socials. And it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
It can be your intro for next year's tour. It'll be everywhere.
I'm not saying it in a way. I'm not being like Piers Morgan about it. But I think we should, from this position. I think if there's no big injuries and the players come back soon that are missing, then I think there's absolutely every chance. And I think City will continue to mess up, to be honest. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I agree. I think you'll win it. And you know where you can find me, guys. JohnO.TV on Twitter, at the Football Nation podcast. This has been the Football Nation, your home of all things football, and we will see you next time. Good night.